Hey folks, Rick Berube here with Jamaal Ealey, or as Carlos would call him, one call to Jamaal, that's all right? So, I love that. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about, let's start with prior to this whole craziness of the COVID-19. How are you doing? What were your goals? How are you doing your business? Give me a little idea of how you were doing that.
So mainly my business is SOI, Sphere of Influence, talking to obviously the people know and trust me and want to sign contracts with me. I had a really good quarter, honestly.
First
Probably
quarter,
one of the
yeah.
best ones. Closed 5 transactions, which obviously I'm only 2.5 years in the business, but it worked out really well. When this happened, I had I kind of had this realization where I didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of uncertainty. I didn't know how to talk to, approach people, but during it, I've switched my mindset and looked at it as what Gary Keller in the Shift book talks about is adversary advantage.
Adversary advantage, I love it.
Yeah, so I switched a lot of the ways I was talking to my SOI, during the COVID and still during the quarantine about what's really important to them. What are some things, like one of the good questions I use, I know you guys talked about questions yesterday, but I usually ask my SOI, what's keeping you up at night?
Right.
And try to get motivation from there and see if there's any way I can help. And for just post dating listings. Once they tell me, what's going to be important to them, what time frame they're working at, obviously what's keeping them up at night and what's giving their motive to action, I come up with a strategy and a plan to facilitate that and make sure they get what they want.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. And I know that one of my first questions when I saw Jamaal up here, this is the Success Center, by the way, empty. Hello. I was like, you miss this place, don't you?
I'm still here all the time, right? It's just habit now. It's just habit.
Yeah. So this is his office too. So anyway, now you mentioned Sphere and you mentioned your best first quarter ever. But I know you call and do other lead sources. So tell them a little about what other lead sources you do so they get an idea of your full rounded business.
So expireds, FSBOs, for rent by owners, just as it just sold are usually the 5 sources that I contact.
Okay.
Expireds are really my bread and butter because I'm trying to get my resistance tolerance up, obviously to have better conversations with people. And I feel like right now is the best time to talk to them because you're actually facilitating a problem.
Right.
Before then, it was just easy. People were getting listings. You could put something on the market and it would sell immediately, or you have multiple offers.
Right.
Just a month ago,
Yeah.
we had this. Where now I'm dealing with divorces. I'm dealing with people who are behind on and thinking about deferred checks, and they don't know if they have a job to come back to.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a lot more probate cases. People are dying. So being resourceful, being versatile, and bringing more to the table. I think before all this, you talk about what's your value proposition towards real estate. What makes you and differentiates you from other agents? This is your time to actually, go through with it. Like,
I thought you were going to say divorces because they've been spending too much time together.
Hey, yeah. But think about how much value you bring to an agent if you can successfully get their home closed, them separated in a safe and calmly manner, and bring that. That's that value that people are looking for, and that's what they're going to pay for.
Right.
So now when you think about, like when I talk about the adversary advantage, going in and learning about short sales, learning about foreclosures, learning about how to better manage your database, how to better talk to your SOI, how to actually come up with a strategy, what's going to be best for them, and not just thinking about them as a transaction, but a long-term client. I think this is going to put you in a position to, and a lot of people that you've had on, have the best year ever.
Right.
So it's good.
Yeah, like Dan Mum said, and so did Rochelle Vinoy yesterday said that too, or Tuesday. Having your best year ever. And so you mentioned, okay, let's start with expireds real quick. You mentioned expireds and calling them, and do you do new and old, both? Or?
Yeah, so really similar to Dan's. Obviously, you role play. Role play is one of the most important things. Role play and personal development, I think, have put me in a better position to talk to people.
Right.
Just by learning, just having that mental attitude. And really, the way that I approach expireds is I call first thing in the morning, about 7:30 to 8:30. That's physical expired for rent by owner. And then it's usually later in the day, around 11 or 12, I'll call the previous expireds because they've already obviously had a certain amount of calls. But now I'm taking my prospecting to, I'm calling and contacting them every prospect once a day, 3 times. So they get 4 touches before I throw them away.
Good. Awesome. Okay, good.
It's winded.
Yeah, that was a good answer though. I like it. You're very he thinks things out. He's cerebral. He thinks things out, and you practice. Like Dan was saying, that's so important to be able to communicate. I know you role play up here with Dan. There's a group that comes up here all the time.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And I'm sure you guys can't wait for that day you can come back.
Yeah. But I think this is what is going to put us in a better position. This quarantine has showed us how the future of business is going to be done.
Right.
It's showing us how we have
It's a preview.
Exactly. So people should take that as that. Listen, this is going to be you taking you out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And for the people who've been in the business for a long time, this is where people like me who've only been in the business for a short amount of time can come in and actually get that market share.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of good things that you should do, and more importantly, just being a better you.
Yeah.
So practice on your skills, practice on environment, and more importantly, practice on your relationships.
Right.
Who you're connecting to, who you're calling,
Yep.
how many new people you're putting in your database, and more importantly, how many deals you're closing. Is gonna.
And that's why I wanted you to do this today, because you've only been in 2.5 years, but you've learned a lot, and you've grown a lot since you've been doing this.
Yeah. Like, I think one of the biggest things that I've done is vocabulary alone. Just learning how to talk to people and the questions you ask. And
Yeah.
literally understanding it's about making them feel important and having abundance mentality and understanding that you're doing this for your future self. Right now is, it's not the best. I've lost a lot of transactions obviously in the first quarter I lost 2. I had to go up and I had to find different ways to be resourceful and bring better value to them. So now I have, pro-stated listings, I have 3 escrows, like it's all coming together, and I have it all towards coming up here, practicing, having a good environment with you, my coaches from Mike Ferry, Dan, and agents who are doing stuff. Berkshire Hathaway's been fantastic. I'll give them a shout out because even them doing
Chris
this.
Stewart and Gino and they've been doing all kinds of stuff.
Uncle Warren has a fantastic, anything Uncle Warren touches.
He picks incredible people.
He's a great guy because that's what we're looking for is a training. That's what's going to differentiate us between other agents and all the discount agents.
Yeah.
Because you don't want discount results, especially right now.
Yeah.
So understanding your values is
highly
important.
I also think I'm definitely a company guy, and I agree with you. The Berkshire Hathaway name. A lot of those companies out there, they're going to have a hard time. They look at the Berkshire Hathaway name as a rock. I mean, it's a stable place to run your business too. Never mind the tools and all that stuff. Okay, so you said, and then you mentioned some really cool ideas about tonight. You said it's the draft tonight.
Yeah.
So what could you do with your customers and clients about having some fun with that?
So here's a lot of things that we have to really focus on is how we're going to interact and what kind of bridges that we're building for our business, right? Because you have two really options you can go with. Either, hey, listen, this quarantine's scary, or how can I benefit from this quarantine, right?
Right.
So if you guys, for instance, if you're a big sports person, me and Rick,
Yep.
it's fantastic. You should be doing a draft party tonight. Talk to your friends, talk to people you normally talk to, and figure out ways where you guys can connect. One of the biggest ones, guys, is Mother's Day's coming up.
Yeah.
You have about 7 days from that. You know how important it is, especially since a lot of the mothers are the people that having a problem with this, reaching out and sending that, having a personal card, dropping off just a flower, just some kind of sentimental way to let you know that they're thinking about you, and that you're thinking about them and that you're important and you care for them. These are the things that you guys need to be capitalizing on. For Easter, it's already passed, but this is another great holiday. So you should be taking out your list of holidays and what makes people feel important and going out there and being proactive and getting in front of them, because that's what's going to really, now that we're in the second quarter, that's what's going to make or break you.
Absolutely.
Once you start
It's the connection. It's like what Dan said. I think Dan put it best. He calls it's like where business meets the golden rule.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. It's kind of a good way to look at it, because if you're prospecting from contribution, like your sphere, how can I help? What's going on? If they're 70, 80, 60, whatever, can I bring you something? And I know because Avi's been doing that, Billy's been doing that. There's been a whole bunch of real awesome agents doing that. That's kind of something that they're always going to remember. Plus, it's kind of like I remember I was coaching for Mike Ferry during 9/11, and every people I see at events, even last year, still remember that I was that I brought them positivity and so forth during a time. They remember things. So when you're talking to people during this time, it's very important to not buy into the sensationalism or not underplay it. Just be there, listen, help in any way you can.
100%. I think that's why having the people and surrounding yourself in a good environment. I got to talk to Maria Mart and all these other great agents we have around her, and they've been in the business for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
Think about what's happening in the last 20 years. We've had global terrorism, we've had multiple recessions, multiple wars, and they all survived. So at the end of the day, the things that you do today are going to propel you into the next 5, 10, 20 years into this business. And at the end of the day, the only person you're in competition with is your business plan.
Yeah.
So
true. Competition with the man in the mirror or woman.
Exactly.
Right? All right, so you do a little FISBOs, you mentioned Just Listed, Just Sold.
FISBOs are my good ones. I think I have a better time connecting with FISBOs. I'm naturally amiable, so it takes about, I have about six touches with FISBOs, and they finally warm up to me.
Good.
But yeah, majority is my SOI, and then expires
And you mentioned a little Just Listed, Just Sold too.
Just sold only on the, obviously the listings I sold. But yeah, I mean, right now is just a good time to have conversations with people. I think you still want to have your intentions in mind, but having the empathy firsthand and making them feel important and let them know, hey, listen, we're on the same toilet together. We could just make it as shiny as possible.
Exactly.
So it's, I think just being honest and upfront with everyone.
Okay, now, because I know that the journey you've been, or I have a good idea, because you're in my group coaching too as well. You have your own Mike Ferry coach. I mean, I always tell people you can't be overcoached. It's good. It's good. And I know that you've been on I would call it not only a vocabulary like you mentioned, but also a mindset education journey, right?
Oh.
Tell them a little about that, because I think that's important for them to understand that the reason you're doing what you're doing is because it's like, I would call it synchronicity, right? You're working on your skills, you're also working on your mindset, your physicality, and then it all comes together. Tell them about your journey.
Yeah, I can't say enough how important mindset is. Just for me, just a little bit of my story, I was in 14 years in hospitality, and I came over there and I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't know anything about how to run a business. And I literally burnt the boat, quit everything, started real estate. It was very, even my first year, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I thank Dan, Mom, and everyone else who took the time, and my coach, and you, who took the time to go over there. But still, even right now, my mindset, there's weeks, so like I said, the first week of it when we got quarantined, it took me about a week or so to get into a good routine where I was still doing meditations. I was still finding time to work out. And the consistency, like Dan was talking about yesterday, is what's going to get you through it. So having a good mindset, reading a lot of books. A great, fantastic book that I just read and I recommend to everyone is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah, that's
it's
unreal.
Exactly. It was really good because, I won't ruin it for you, but just go read it, because it's talking about extreme adversity, how people just used hope and their whys to live their lives to the best of their house.
Yeah.
So it was good. Like that, you have to have it. To me, I'm doing 30 minutes to an hour role play and then an hour of personal development, and that's reading books, that's finding different ways, that's doing scripts, that's finding different ways to work on my skills, because that's the only thing that you can control is waking up and being yourself every day. So at least try to be the best, the best version of yourself you can, at least 1% every day, right?
Right.
So
yeah, 1% a day. What book was that in? I think it was in Atomic Habits.
Yeah, 1% a day. At the end of the year, you'll be 365% better than you started.
Amanda Franchi is asking, what's the name of that book again?
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Yeah, it's about he survived the Holocaust and how he did it. It's amazing how when he's talking about, he could tell in prison when people started giving their cigarettes away that they were done. They checked out, and then days later they'd be dead. It's just, I get chills. It's amazing how intuitive he became, and then the skills he took out of an unbelievable, horrible situation.
And he talks about unemployment. That's why the two best books that I've read so far during this whole time is Gary Keller's Shift.
Yeah, good book.
Really good book, and The Man's Search for Meaning, because it really puts in perspective that these people, you have to relate to these stories because we're in them right now.
Yeah.
This is something that we didn't prepare for. This is something that we didn't know. So what are we doing to rise above this? This is how, you define your character in crisis. And we are in
so
crisis.
True.
And there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
These are the actual conversations you should be having with your clients. Hey, are you sure that now is the best time? Are you still sure that now is the best time to sell your home?
Great point.
If you get, the more no's you get, it gets you closer to the yes.
Yeah.
Because it opens up an actual, genuine conversation. So
when you do what's right for them, you will have customers and clients for life, and it's the right thing to do.
Exactly. And then working on that, role playing it, it's very difficult to try to ask one of your clients, your past clients, your SOI, one of them, hey, what's keeping you up at night?
Right.
And form into
like
a sentence where it's like, because if you can get that answer, you can talk to anybody. So it's all about having that, building that bridge to let them know that you trust and that you're doing what's best for them.
Right.
So when we're talking about mindset, I don't run my business, unfortunately, I want to say like Dan or anyone else, because my discipline is something that I'm really working on this year.
I would say yet.
Yeah, yes.
You can tell you hang around Dan, though.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. You have to change your environment. So hang around positive people. And hang around people because I know that one of my abilities I need to work on is my discipline.
Right.
I know that I'm trying to have a good mindset, but more importantly, I'm trying to bring value and make an impact. It's not about making income, it's about making a bigger impact, and then the income will follow. So
Yeah, it looks like by your social media posts and the way you give them the ribbon and the ribbon cutting, your customers and clients really enjoy you.
they do.
And they like your customer service for sure.
But even within that, that's something I'm trying to work on. So I've tried to step away in the past couple months from social media because there's such a big ego boost to it.
Right.
Where I do a lot of my ribbon cuttings, where I do something formal and I send it out to my clients. So like, hey, listen, this is somebody we're going to welcome into our family.
Right.
So really working on that and working on my value proposition towards my database and letting them know, like, hey, listen, no matter what, our transaction might have closed 2 years ago, but I'm still to help you in any way I know how. What are some things that you're worried about? What are some things that I could do to make sure that I'm assisting you the best way I can?
Right.
And just doing that, and then, like you said, the abundance.
And they'll
will come out.
refer forever. Okay, so we've come to that time where this is the last question, and it's a very important one. Okay, Jamaal and I are both New England Patriot fans. Tonight is the draft. Patriots have 13 picks out of the first 240. Yes, God bless Bill Belichick.
Bill we trust.
We love Tom and Gronk, but they're gone. Okay, so we got to replace our team. The 23rd pick, do they take a quarterback or stick with Jaron Stidham and Brian Hoyer?
I think, first of all, in Bill we trust again. Patriots
Exactly.
number one. I think they're going to
We do a high five right now, but we can't.
Yeah, just virtual. But that's a 6 Super Bowl high five.
Right.
I think, honestly, they're going to go offensive lineman, or they're going to get somebody that's more
That's what I
stable.
think. Or a linebacker.
Yeah, Tom Brady was picked in the 7th round.
He was 199th pick.
199th pick.
And Stidham was like in the 4th round too, so he's right in that same area.
Exactly. I mean, you just do your job, and that's why I love the Patriots. Like, the Patriots are such a fantastic organization.
Example of what we're talking about.
Because their motto, just do your job.
Right.
That's all you have to do every day is just do your job. Wake up, be that 1%, and then everything will follow. So.
And I'm going to, and there's 2 great sayings that New England Patriots say. One of them is in their locker room. One of them is eliminate the noise. What the noise is the media for sports, and it's media for you. Sensationalism. Limit your time polluting your cranium with the news today, please. Okay, go on YouTube. Matter of fact, Jamaal recommended Man's Search for Meaning. I'm going to recommend. I just finished it this morning, called The Talent Code by Dan Coyle, and it talks about how you create neurofibers, and then it's really interesting. But it doesn't. You think the talent code? It's about how talent isn't the answer. It's what you're doing and how you're doing it, and how you be repetition and so forth, and then how that forms your brain into what appears to be talent, but it's not talent. It's work. Okay. The old saying, he was an overnight success. Yeah, it only took 15 years to become an overnight success, so it takes time. Any final thoughts?
I think just be your. When we talk about mindset, I think one of the things I want to think about is just try to every day set up goals for yourself, or 7-day goals, or whatever that it's going to be best in your life, and hold yourself accountable to it. I think one of the things that I used to, when we were in Success Center, is I used to go up and every day say, would I fire myself today? And I got that from Suzanne in the Sahara office, so I'll give her props for that. But since I've been working with my coaches, it's what am I committed to? So I think every day you should ask yourself what you're committed to, and it's been really helpful, especially when the days where your mindset's not so good, because you hold that commitment and you hold yourself accountable. And I think at the end of the day, we can only wake up and be ourselves. So always ask yourself what you're committed to, and the execution will follow.
Yeah, as the saying goes, be yourself, everyone else is taken. All right, thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here.